Hi, we're going to begin in a couple minutes. While we're waiting for everyone to arrive, you can write your name in the chat, and you can, not your name, you can write where you're joining from and what you're hoping to gain from the webinar. And we also have created a source sheet to accompany this webinar, and the link is in the chat box to the right, so you can open that if you're interested. You might also want to log on to Sefaria, www.sefaria.org. Thanks to those of you who are writing where you're joining from and what you hope to get from the webinar in the chat box. Also, there's the link to the sheet that we created to go along with the webinar. So you can click on that and have that open. And you also might want to play along with me as I give you the tour of Sefaria. So you might want to go to the website, which is www.sefaria.org. And we'll start in a couple minutes. Welcome to those of you who are just starting to join right now. You can write in the chat where you're joining from and what you hope to gain from the webinar. And also the link to the sheet that accompanies the webinar is in the chat box. And we'll begin in about 2 minutes. Oh, and also while we're waiting to begin in about 2 minutes, if you have questions along the way, you can write them in the chat box, and we will be taking breaks periodically to ask those questions and to address them and hopefully answer your questions. And also anybody who wants to ask more questions will be happy to stay on after the webinar is over to answer more questions. So make sure just use that chat box. Oh, so the short source sheet link is in the comments below the video also, so that as the chat flows through, you'll still be able to see it. So anytime if you'd like to open the source sheet that goes along with this, that's good. It has all kinds of links that you'll be interested hopefully in using later. So that's a good thing to have. We'll also be sending that out to everybody who has registered along with the recording. So, so that's there for you. And if you would like to open Sefaria, www.sefaria.org, you can play along. And I think we're ready to begin. So I want to welcome everybody to our first Sefaria 101 webinar. I'm Rachel Buckman. I'm Sefaria's Education Associate, and with me is Chava Tzemach, who is, oh, there she is, and she is our Communications and Marketing Manager. And Chava's going to be watching your questions on the side, so please, as we go along, if you have questions, please write them, and we'll stop, and Chava will ask me the questions. So I want to just introduce Sefaria a little bit. I know some of you are new to Sefaria, some of you are our old timers. I think we have something for everybody in this webinar. We're so happy that you're here. At Sefaria, we're building an extensive Jewish text library and the tools to go with it. And we have some things that just make Jewish learning, text learning, so exciting and different. And that's what I want to show you today. We've been around for about 7 years and we keep growing. And in fact, last month was our biggest month yet, with 390,000 discrete users visiting Sefaria. So if that was you, good job. We hope to have you and all your friends using Sefaria in the future. Today, we're going to be going on a guided tour of Sefaria. We're going to include basics, that's the first thing. Features that maybe you haven't been aware of. So we have people who have used Sefaria for a while and just didn't really realize everything that we have to offer. So I hope that everybody will pick up something new. And our newest feature, which we just launched last week, so that will be new for everybody. I invite you to play along on your own devices. I'm going to be on the website. If you're on an app, it's going to look a little bit different, and here and there, there'll be some differences, which I'll point out, but mine is the website. And of course, you'll want some support as you experiment later on with Sefaria on your own. So links to our helpline, which is hello@sefaria.org. You can always send emails there. And a tutorial group that we created. The links to that are on the sheet, which is on a link below the video. The tutorial sheet is brand new. We haven't lodged it to the public yet, but you're getting the sneak peek. You can go there, and we've written up tutorials about so many different aspects of Sefaria. So if you forget exactly how it goes, don't worry, you can go there. And if that doesn't answer it, you're welcome to write us. This webinar is just the beginning of your Sefaria journey, and I'm not going to be able to cover it all here. If you're interested in a follow-up webinar, we certainly will be having more. You can let us know in the chat, you can email us, and there'll be a feedback form later on, and you can let us know what you're interested in. So with all of that introduction, I'm ready to share my screen and start our Sefaria tour. Okay, here we go. Here we are on the Sefaria homepage. Your page might look a little different than mine. I'm logged in, you can tell over here with my little icon. So we're a little bit different, but this is where we're going to start. So we're going to start with, how do I find a text? How do I look at a text? Let's start with, I know exactly what I want to look for. Maybe I want to go right away to this week's Torah portion, and I happen to know that it is Leviticus. I'm going to type it up here. It's Leviticus in the search bar that's on the top of every single screen in Sefaria. It's Leviticus 21:1. I type it here and I press enter, which I'll do in a second, but I want to point out that I could type in Hebrew, I can type in English, and I have here a keyboard, a Hebrew keyboard. I'm going to click it. And if I'm not used to typing on my regular computer, I can type right on here in Hebrew. So I'm going to go to Leviticus 21:1, and I'm going to click and go right there into the library. Now, I also, let's say I knew the name of the parsha this week, the Torah parsha portion. It's Emor. I could have typed that in the search bar, and I would have come to the same place. So here, once I open it, I have many choices of how I want to view it. So I'm right now viewing it in a bilingual text. I've got Hebrew, I've got English. We call this stacked. I have the Hebrew on the top, the English on the bottom. On every single screen, every single text on Sefaria, we have this A Aleph button, which is up on the top right. I click on it, and now I have all kinds of choices. I can click A and I'll just have English. A Aleph is bilingual, Aleph is Hebrew. Once I'm in the bilingual text, I can have it stacked the way you see it here. I could have it side by side. I can change the font size. For Torah text, I can choose to have the aliyot indicated for me or not. And I also have a choice. I could have plain text, I could have just vowels, and I could have, for vowels that have a trope, I could have that. That's what I have here. I'll show you, I'll change it to just having the vowels and no trope. So every single text, we have that with the A Aleph button. And I can skim through, I can scroll through the whole book, and I could study it that way, which is already great. But on Sefaria, you can do even more than that. If I click on any place in any text, I open a side panel. If you're on the app, it'll be on the bottom. And if you're on the website, it's on the side, the resource panel. And here you will see, listed by category, every single connection that we have in our library that's connected to this text. So every commentary, every place, let's say that the Mishnah mentions it or the Talmud mentions it, every place that it's mentioned here on the side. And I can click on any of them. So let's say I'm interested in a Torah commentary on Leviticus. And so we have 109 commentaries. And here we have them listed. The first ones are just the most popular ones. And then after that, they're alphabetical. And in the parentheses, it tells me how many comments the commentator has. This is Rashi, the classic medieval commentator. And also over here, this is something that is just a website feature, not on the apps. It tells me if we have a full English translation. So if you're looking to only open texts that have English, you know which ones to click on. So you're not going to click on these, but here you're going to click here, or you can click here. So I'm going to open Rashi, and that opens on the side. It opens in English. For me, that's what it does. I click here, and now I see it in Hebrew. But let's say I'd like to see it in, this is just the 5 comments that he has on this verse, but maybe I want to see it within the whole body of work. I click on it, and now it's in the the full version. And here I can now have my regular A Aleph, where I can do all of those things that I showed you before, and I can decide what I want. I'm so glad people are writing questions in the chat. We're going to stop in a little bit after I give you a little bit more, and then Chava's going to ask me those questions, and I'll be able to answer you. So that's great. So if I click on this, now it's even more connected. I can click on the Rashi, and I get another resource panel. And now I see everything that is connected to Rashi. So I have commentaries. These are super commentaries on the commentary. I can click on any of those. Here we have only this one is in English. And I also, you can see here that he quotes the Talmud. And here I have the link because he gives a little bit. And perhaps when I'm studying, I want to see it in context. I want to see the whole thing. And I click it here, and we do have a fully translated Talmud. And so I click that, and actually the first one is not the one that's there. If I click all the way down here, you can see this is this text in full. If I click here, now this one is in full, and I can see it in context because maybe I wanted to read something that was a little ahead, or maybe I want to read a little bit more. And I can keep doing this of clicking and getting resources, click, 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 as large as my screen will allow me. On the app, I open one at a time, but on the website, I can keep these all next to each other. And as I scroll, I can scroll through each one of them. Okay, I'm going to go back to show you a little bit more before I stop for questions. I'm going to I want to show you how you can open a couple commentaries together and not have to go back to the main, what I just did here. So I'm going to open commentary, and I'm going to open Rashi. Here I have Rashi, and I've read, and now I'm interested in what does Ibn Ezra have to say. So I just used the back button, Ibn Ezra, and now I have Ibn Ezra open, but I can also click on Rashi, and now I'm in Rashi, and now I'm in Ibn Ezra, and I can keep doing that, and I can keep so many things open at the same time. So I can keep going back to them. I could open a Talmud text, anything that's connected, and I have them all there without having to go back. I'm going to show you another way to open a text. So this one, we typed it into the search bar because I knew exactly what I was looking for. I also want to direct you to another really important button that is on the top of every single screen, and this is the hamburger. It's 3 horizontal lines, which is sometimes called the hamburger. And I click on that, and any place I am in the Sefaria site, the hamburger is going to take me to this library homepage. And this is another great way to navigate the site. So in the text section, it's like shelves in a library. It's by category. And I can click on all of these. I have more categories. Here are all of our categories that we have. So if you're looking for something and you don't know exactly the book, you can look for the category and go there. I'm going to open Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, which is in Mishnah. And I'm going to click on Mishnah. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find Pirkei Avot. And so I'm going to open that. It opened in English. I can put it in bilingual. And I can scroll through here. Another really, really important, helpful tool on Sefaria is the table of contents. This also works with every single work in our library. When I click on the name of the work in the header right here, this is really, really helpful. I click on this and I open the table of contents for this book. It tells me what shelf it's on. It gives me a little information about the book. We have such an extensive library that it's quite likely that you could open something and not really know what that book is. It'll tell you the author, when it was written. It usually gives a little synopsis of the text. It also allows you to navigate from here, which is very nice. Mishnah Pirkei Avot is just 6 chapters, but we have things that are 120 chapters. And so this is a great way that you can navigate here. You also can see all of the commentaries that are connected to this book. So the Mishnah has all of these commentaries. And also we have different versions. I can talk about that at the end if people are interested, and also to download the text. I'm not going to go into these in depth. They are discussed in the FAQs, which there's a link on your sheet. So this is the table of contents. It's really, really helpful. And you can just close out of it, and then you're right where you were before. I am going to stop. That was a ton of information. I'm going to stop for a minute and let Chava ask some of your questions.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for asking questions in the chat. So I have a few for you, Rachel, here. Some people are wanting to know about how to find a source sheet that's connected to a particular text.
Oh, great. Well, you're jumping ahead, but I'm happy to show you. So we haven't really talked about source sheets. So those of you who are real new users, hang on, because I'm going to get to that later. Those of you who are old hats at this, you want to know. So a source sheet, just in short, is a user-generated sheet, a collection of texts and explanation and all kinds of goodies, which I'm going to show you. Although I'm not going to be showing you how to make a source sheet, we will have a separate webinar for that. So if you're interested in that, you can let us know, and we'll let you know when we're going to have a source sheet 101 thing. But okay, I click on the text and I open the resources, and I showed you only up to the top, which was all the connected in the library resources of our books. But here it says sheets. And so this Mishnah of Pirkei Avot has 24 sheets. I click on this, and the top ones, actually, those are mine. You wouldn't see those. These are the public source sheets. When you make a source sheet, you have a choice of keeping it private or making it public. These are the public source sheets that have used this text in the sheet. And so I can scroll down and look at them. You can see that some people tag their sheets, which is extremely helpful. So if you do make sheets, it's wonderful if you tag them. because I get a sense when I'm skimming, I get a sense of what it's about. So let's say, oh, I like this one. This is the American Jewish World Service. They do a whole bunch of sheets. They're super interesting. And they did a sheet on, well, I can see what it's about: human dignity, gender identity, all kinds of things. I can click on this, and that will open the sheet here, and I can see it in full. They started with my text. It jumps to where the text is. And then they have suggested discussion questions. Again, I'm going to show you sheets even more in a minute, but that's where they are. Okay, another one, Chava.
All right, so we've got a few more questions that I will quickly address. One is, why aren't all of our commentaries translated into English? We are working on it. We would love to have more translations. Well, I'm
going to interrupt. To give some context, though, the issue with translations is, like if we have Maimonides, his copyright ran out a little while ago, but the translation is a modern thing. And so we're very, very careful about copyrights, and we do not put anything on our site that we don't have permission, that's not in the public domain, or we don't have permission. And we're always looking to add to our, as Chava said, to add to our English library, but it is much trickier than the Hebrew. And we're always working on acquiring or making arrangements with a publisher or an individual so that we really want to offer you everything in English.
And just a couple more quick things. Thank you for asking. Yes, Sefaria is a nonprofit organization with 501c3 status, and we do accept donations. We'll talk more about that later. And also, this webinar is being recorded, and everyone who registered for it will be getting the recording and the source sheet in an email, hopefully tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. And with that, I think we can keep going with the class.
Great, and I'm really excited about this next section because this is the newest thing. So even if you've been using Sefaria since its very beginning 7 years ago, you might, although we did, Chava was very good at sending out some information about it. So maybe you saw it, but maybe you haven't yet. So one of the things that we have been concerned about or working on at Sefaria is to make it easier for people to find texts, people who maybe don't even know what they're looking for. So you're not even sure, like, okay, I opened these because I knew exactly what I wanted. But what if you don't know? What if you want to walk into our beautiful library and see what there is? Maybe you're interested in a certain topic. So our engineers have created a whole new experience that I'm so excited to show you. So it's called our topics feature. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type a topic into the search bar. And since Shavuot is almost around the corner, I'm going to put Shavuot up here in the search bar. Shavuot. And by the way, if I spell it wrong, or if I have a different spelling, if I want to spell Shavuos, if I want to spell Shavuot, whatever, we try to cover lots of different spellings. So in my drop-down menu, you can see a hashtag Shavuot. That indicates that it's a topics page. So I'm going to click on this. And this is our brand new topics page. And we have about 10,000 of these topics pages, or lots of thousands of topics pages. So it's really fun to just kind of try it out and see what's there. So a topics page will give you the topic. It gives you a subcategory that it's in. It's in part of holidays. Shavuot is with holidays. It gives you a little bit of an explanation. And then it lists sources and sheets that relate to this topic. And so the sources and the sheets come from a bunch of different, and this is what happens when you digitize and you have all of this data. So we have the most common sources for the topic. They go to the most common to the least in the default. And so I see I have from Numbers, I have from Exodus, different places that it talks about Shavuot. And this one has a lot of biblical ones first, but the book of Ruth is read on Shavuot, so that's there. And as we go down, we'll have some halachic, some legal texts. Here we have Mishnah. And so any of these, I can click on them. I can click on it and I would go straight to the library and see it in context. I also, let's say I don't have time to look at it now, I can star it. I can press the star here and it will save it for me if I'm logged in. If I have an account, we're going to talk about accounts and logging in after. I can filter my text by relevance. It's going to default to relevance, which is, it means that it showed up the most in source sheets. It's the most connected to the topic. Or it could be chronological, which since this one had so many biblical ones, I'll scroll down a little bit to see the difference. It will start, so it starts with Genesis before Exodus, and it will go on with when a book was published, later on in the legal codes in order, ending with the most modern text. So depending on how you're interested in looking at it, you can do that. And this will really get you to the essence of the topic. Sheets gives you the sheets that are tagged, the public source sheets that are tagged with this subject. And so you can also search these and look and see what's interesting to you. These two you can save for later by clicking on the star. They start with relevance. You can filter relevance, number of views, or newest. So you can see the ones that most people have looked at. You might be interested in things that people have created recently. You could do it that way. I forgot to mention also in sources. Let's say I want to look within a particular book. I'm only interested in Shavuot in the Talmud. So I can write here, Talmud, and now it's going to filter for that. And I have only the Talmudic sources. So this really is a great way to, I have a topic I'm interested in. I'd like to know what there is for you. Also, the English texts will be preferred over ones that only have Hebrew text if you're in the English website. On the side, we have related topics. So related to Shavuot, so Shavuot is the holiday of the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai. It's also Bikurim, the first fruits. We also read Ruth, and we even have more topics. And so I started looking at Shavuot, and now I'm like, oh, you know what? I'd really like to go and learn about the 10 Commandments more. I can click there. Or I'd like to learn more about Ruth. I don't remember the connection of why do we read Ruth? What is Ruth? I click there and I go to Ruth's topics page. And I have, she's under biblical figures. I'll show you where those categories are in a minute. A little explanation, and we have the sources for Ruth. We have the source sheets for Ruth. And on the side, on her topic page, we have some other topics, but we also have her genealogy here, which is really nice. And each of these has its own topics page. So this is really, really a great way to find texts that you didn't even know that you wanted. I'm going to show you one other place to get. One place was to type it in the topics here. Also on our library homepage, which just has tons of great information for you. This is where you find those texts that you saved. I click on it, and here are the texts that I saved. If I want to, I'm not interested in this one anymore, I can unclick it, and now it won't be saved anymore. So here are my texts, and here are my topics. Here were all those categories that we had. So we had for holidays, we could click holidays, go to all the different holidays that we have. I also can click all topics. And when I'm at all topics, we have 10,000 different topics, different tags. I can click on any of those. I also can search. I can type it in here, what I'm interested in. I was looking today at cheesecake because Shavuot is coming up, and here I have my cheesecake, which is great because now I can, I forgot, why do we eat cheesecake on Shavuot? And here I see from the Mishnah Berurah, I see a reason why. I can click on it. I go right into here because I don't know what the Mishnah Berurah is, which could happen. And here it is. I know when it was written. I know who wrote it. I know a little bit about why he wrote it. So tons and tons of information here. I'm going back one more. I'm going to let you ask some questions in a second. One more thing for when I'm looking for what to study. We have the calendar page on the library homepage. Here, if I want to go quickly with one click to this week's Torah portion, I click here. Haftorah, I click here. Daf Yomi, if I wanted to go and study today's page of Talmud, I click here. And then underneath are some other calendars of things that people study. There's people who study a daily Mishnah, a daily Rambam. All of these are there for you, and it's a great way to jump there and find what I'm looking for and find something interesting to look for. Okay, I'm ready for more questions.
All right. So first, I see a few other tech questions that I would love to just point you towards our YouTube channel. We do have some short tech tip videos and other webinars that you can check out if you want to know. Someone asked about accessing the Jastrow dictionary. There is a video about that on our YouTube channel. And I've seen lots of interest in a source sheet webinar, so we will definitely let you all know about that. And if you want to receive our emails to be the first to know about all of our webinars and get the registration links, you can sign up at sefaria.org/newsletter.
And I'm going to show you another place where you can find it. If you go back to this homepage here, you can, on the side, I'm going to show you all of this in a little bit, but I scrolled past it. But we have sign up for the newsletter right there. You just put your email address and you're in. So please do that. I'm going to show you all that in a little bit. Do we have any topics questions?
I'm seeing lots of people very happy with topics.
I'm so happy that you're happy with it. I love it. And if you want to tell us, you can always write us at hello@sefaria.org. Tell us what amazing thing you found because of topics. We would love to hear how you're using it. That would be great.
Yeah, we've had some questions about translations in other languages other than English.
Okay, so we do have some others. That is an area that we would like to go into. Our next language will probably be French. But we do have other languages. You can see those, how to switch the languages and find them in one of our FAQs. Again, we're trying to keep this a 101, so dictionaries is kind of 201, and the different languages also, although if people stay on at the end, then I'm happy to stay and show you some of those things as well.
And we had a question about our visualizations.
I'm going to show you that at the end.
Okay, great.
It's great. Okay.
And I think you're also going to be covering more about what's included with a Sefaria account. We had some questions about that.
Yes.
So we'll be getting to all of that. So thank you. Please keep asking your questions in the chat.
So the next place I want to show you, I do want to talk about sheets. We just briefly mentioned it, but it's a big part of our library. It's very exciting, and a lot of creativity, a lot of learning is going on there. So I want to show you that. I'm going to show you a few examples of sheets, but just the idea of what a sheet is. A sheet is basically a website that a registered, logged in user to Sefaria can make. You can make as many of these as you like. They default to private. You can make them public so that they're shared in our library, which I highly recommend you to do, because it's wonderful to share your Torah with everybody. They're collections of sources from our library. You can add outside text, media, and comments. Some of the really incredible things about them, because they are a website, they're dynamic. They can always be edited. I've made source sheets where later on I found something else that I wanted to add to it. Maybe even a year later, I saw an article that related to a source sheet that I made. You can always add it. They can be collaborative. You can set them. This, again, we would show you. You can see it in the FAQs, but we would show you in a source sheet webinar. You can set it so that you can be collaborative. I can build a source sheet with somebody else. I could have a source sheet that other people add comments to. And as I said, they can be made public, and then they are right there in the library, as I showed you, connected to the texts that are on them. I'm going to show you a couple. This one is a sheet that our education department made. You can see that you can add videos. You can do all kinds of fun, you can do all kinds of fun things with the fonts. You do all kinds of formatting things. And we can add, this part here is our own narrative. In the comments, I can give an introduction. I can ask questions. If I'm giving, let's say I'm giving a lesson, I'm giving a shiur, and I want guiding questions, or even if I'm just sharing some ideas and I want people to think about it as they're reading through, I can put them there. Here we put some questions. We kind of organized it nicely so people could go through here and get something from it. What's nice is that all of these, it was good I clicked on this by mistake, because all of our sources, you're always linked into the library. So if I'm looking at somebody else's source sheet and I click on it and I think, oh, that's great, but I'd like to see it in context, I can go right to it. I could have clicked here and then I go and open it right up. I clicked right on the name of it. It opened it up right in the library. And then I can also go here and see comments and all sorts of things. So you're always hooked into the library. Another thing about source sheets, you can read them on your app, but you only make them on the website. So that is also another little bit of a difference.
And while we're talking about source sheets, it seems like everyone has this burning question. How do they print out a source sheet?
Okay, so first I have to say that one reason you would not want to print is so that you stay connected to the library, but you can easily print a source sheet. This is, so to print the source sheet, I have to actually open up here to get into the edit mode of the sheet. And I can do this on my sheet. I can do it on somebody else's sheet. This happens to be my sheet, so because I'm logged into this account. And then on the side, file, print, I can do that. But even better, I like to do even better, I can export it to Google Drive, and then it turns into a Google Doc. And Google has, we have a lot of very, very nice editing tools. Google has even more. They have a few more engineers working than we do. And so they have even more. And so you can use even more. And then you can print it from there. Again, we'll show you all of this on our source sheet, webinar. And we have a lot of FAQs on this because there are a lot of questions. And you can always email us at hello. Okay, I want to show you a couple more sheets that have a couple more things in them. This one is really nice in that it has a lot of images that are used to go along with the learning. So this is a beautiful way to learn. This is a photographer that we worked with. And so he's given us some of his photographs that we could use. And it really, it's not like clip art, it really accompanies the learning that is done here. So you could do this on your sheets. You also can add YouTube videos, which are great. They play right in the sheet. They don't even open another tab. You could be playing that and looking at sources. You can add a SoundCloud, an audio clip. You could record a lesson that you're giving and put it on along with the texts. So there's so many things, and they're really, really easy to make. Super, super easy to make. So that's another kind. And here's the third one. Give me a second, it's underneath my bar. Here's the third one that I wanted to show you. And this one's really nice. This is made by somebody. This shows you, this is not my sheet, so I can show you what it looks like when I'm on somebody else's. So somebody else's, I can view it in the editor and print it. I also can copy it and make it mine. It credits the person, but then I can edit it how I want it. But this person used the outside text feature on the source sheet, and he added, you can add a clip from a website, you could add from here, he added from a book, he put the page number, and he has an outside text, he used a poem, and all of these things display really, really nicely on your sheet. And so it's a collection. It's your way of sharing your Torah. It's your way. You could use it to collect sources that you have learned that you want to, maybe you want to collect a whole bunch of sources on the same topic. You could put it on there. And as we said, they are linked to in the sidebar. I want to show you another really, really great thing that this is for the people who are even big users of Sefaria. You might not know about this. So I'm going to open the Talmud, Brachot. This is the first page of Talmud. And so I'm clicking, and on the side, you see I have the sheets, but I also have something here called web pages. And this is really, really great. I love this, and I think not enough people use it. So I'm happy that all of you should try it out and see what you think. We have a linker that links people who have websites and have Torah websites. They can put this on their website. It links to us, and we link to them. And so if I click on this, I have a list of websites that use our linker that have used this text in some of their work. So, and what's really nice, it says all types of sources, so for all kinds of backgrounds. So I'm going to start with My Jewish Learning, which is a fabulous website. Very basic, gives you just, you want to know about something that you didn't know about and you want it on a really nice, easy to understand level. This is perfect. So I click on this and it takes me to their webpage, and they talk about this page of Brachot, and I can read their what they wrote about it. You can see they're connected to us. If you and we connect to them, and they connect to us. So that's one, which is great. Another one, just to give you an idea of another one, Torah in Motion is read by Jay Kelman in Toronto. He writes really interesting stuff. And so he had something on this first page of Talmud. And so I can open up, oops, didn't want to do that one. I wanted to do this one, Who's on First. And this one takes me to his website where he wrote about this page, and I can read it, and you can see he's linked and we're linked, and it's another layer. Just opens up our library to great stuff. Rabbi Sachs uses our linker. It can if you're reading maybe a Torah portion and you want to read, 7 of his Divrei Torah, they're right there linked, which is really, really super. Again, just makes our library so exciting. Okay, one more stop before I do. I'm going to just tell you what I'm going to do so you don't have to ask these ones. I'm going to talk about accounts, educators and rabbis, social media, and I'm going to show you visualization. So this is kind of if you have non-technical questions about source sheets.
So most of what I'm seeing are some in-depth how-to questions for source sheets. So I just want to say thank you so much for asking those questions. We will address those in a separate webinar just to make sure that we're not using up too much of anyone's time and only people who are interested in that get to it. So we will let you know in an email when we schedule that webinar. Please sign up for our mailing list if you haven't already to get that email.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in with the rest, and then at the end, anybody wants to stay on for questions. Still not how to make a source sheet, because that really is a whole one on its own, but I'm happy to answer whatever questions you have. So I'm going to go back to the homepage, and I'm going to talk about the account. So a Sefaria account is free. First of all, everything that I've done so far, except pretty much the source sheets and saving, everything you can do without an account. But if you have an account, which is free and takes about 2 minutes to sign up for it, then you can do absolutely everything, which why not? So to make an account, you just put in an email address, you make a password, and you're done. You'll know that you're logged in. When you see your icon here, it'll be with your initials, or if you upload an icon or a photo, it'll be there. You can also then log in on your app, and if you log in on your app, it syncs with your website. So let's say you have you've saved something, you were reading something on the website, and then you go somewhere. In the days when we could go somewhere, you go and you have your phone and you want to open that text. So it would be linked if you're logged in. It's synced together. So that's really right there a good reason. You can create source sheets if you have an account. So that's certainly a great reason. And if you click on your icon there, you have, this is our Sefaria education account. And you have a list of all of our source sheets that we've made. You can search for them. We have something that's really fun called the Torah tracker. And this can show you what you've been learning. So here we have, this is what we've been reading. Again, this is kind of a joint account, but on my own private account, I can see what I've been learning. And compared to the average Sefaria user, so we've been using a little more Tanakh, a little less Talmud. It shows what our most popular sheets are. This is like to date, but we also can do all time, all the texts we've read, the sheets we've read, the sheets we've created. So that's kind of fun. You can do that on the website only if you are logged in. You can view your reading history. You can also take notes. And this is really nice. This is also a web-only feature. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I can open something, and on my sidebar, it says notes. And if I click here, I can write a note. These are only private. There's no public notes, so these are private for me. If I want to take notes on something, I do that. I add the note, and then the next time, if I had added a note, when I'm on this verse on notes, it would say I have a note. Also, going back to my profile page, I can see all of my notes here. These are all the notes that we have written. So that's the other way. So those are all things that are great about having an account. I want to show you just for a second, for I'm sure we have some educators and rabbis on this call. So I want to show you some special things for you. Oh, the other thing, sorry. Also, when you're logged in, you have this nice feed here of things, and this depends on things that I've clicked on. It's going to give me things I might be interested in. On the side here, we have Teach with Sefaria. And if I click on this, it's a special education landing page, special for educators. I can click here. This is the education newsletter. So if you'd like that, that's a separate newsletter that is written specifically for educators. Another thing is we have a special course for educators, because we have some features that I haven't even mentioned here that we've created for the classroom. And so we want to show you how to use those. And it's a self-directed online free course. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up and we'll send you that. All kinds of things here for educators. I also want to mention for the rabbis that there will be a webinar for you on Monday, May 18th at noon Eastern time. And the link to register is on the sheet that we sent you before, and that you'll be getting in the mail because you registered. So not in the mail, in email. Back to our homepage here, just a couple more things. Here you can sign up for the newsletter. We are very active on social media. Chava gives us a great social media presence on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So you can follow us on all of these and get little bits of Torah and interesting things. You'll also be updated on new experiences on Sefaria. And since Chava did mention and people asked about, we are a nonprofit. We are so grateful for the support of individual donors and also foundations. Here you can make a donation. We have one-time donations, we have sustainers, you might have noticed here on the library page, you can sponsor a day of learning, which is very fun. Personally, I did one for my son's wedding, which was really great and fun. Lots of people who are Sefaria people got to see that my son was getting married, and they liked it. In memory, it's very common to sponsor a day of learning in memory of somebody. Is a beautiful thing to do as well. So all of that is certainly available. And the last thing before I take just questions, we mentioned the visualization. So I want to show you just one of the really, really exciting things you can do when you digitize your text. Because Sefaria is all about thinking about what can we do now that we have this. So we have all these visualizations. I'm going to show you one of our most popular ones. And this is called the Link Explorer. And here, this is what our engineers do when they have a little time to just kind of play around and be creative. So they thought, you know, the Jewish canon, all of the texts, they're all in conversation with each other. And it would be interesting to see the relationship between them. So what they did was, the first one they did was they connected Talmud and Tanakh. So across the top, we have all the books of the Bible, of Tanakh. And on the bottom, we have all of the Masechtot, all of the tractates of the Talmud. And each of these lines is a connection. It's a place where the Talmud quotes the Tanakh. And I can narrow it down. Let's say I want to see how many times is a verse in the book of Genesis, in Bereshit, is it mentioned in the Talmud, and where? So I can have on the bottom here, now I have all of the Talmud connected just to Genesis. Now I'm going to say, well, maybe I want to see just Shabbat. Here's Masechet Shabbat, and it's connected to Genesis. And look at here, I can see, wow, a lot here. And I might even want to play a game with myself of saying, I wonder what that is in Genesis. Which chapter is it? Which verse is it that they quoted for Shabbat? So I can click on any one of these, and it actually will take me to Masechet Shabbat. And here it shows me Genesis chapter 17, verse 12. And then I can make it, of course, I can do here, and I can look at it in full, and I can have them side by side, and I can see what's going on. So that's a really fun one. Another fun one that you'd have to play around with on your own is Rashi, and you get just so amazed with, he didn't have Sefaria. I can't imagine what he would do with it, but he had it all in his head, which is amazing. And he quotes all over the place. And if you go to this one, and it's all explained what all the different lines are, but places where he quotes from all over and how everything is so interrelated. And I think that that's a really, really exciting thing. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second, just because I want to, I can't see you. I'm sorry that I can't see you, but I want to thank you for joining us in our webinar. I will stay on for questions. I'll probably share my screen so I can show you some more things. Chava, you want to just finish up with everybody, and then we'll go on with more questions? Or everyone can just stay on and we can all do more questions.
Sure. Thank you so much again, everyone, for joining us and for asking such great questions. We can't get into all of your questions in this webinar, but we will definitely be in touch about the source sheet webinar. And if you have a question that doesn't get answered in this webinar, please send us an email to hello@sefaria.org. So I had someone asking if they could see again how you get into that sidebar with the resources and what you might find in there. So maybe we can review that.
Yeah, that's great, because really that's the core of what we're doing. And so I really do want to, I really do want you to understand that. So Chavo, should we do a Tanakh or a Talmud or a Midrash? What do you think?
Let's do some Tanakh.
Okay, we'll stay with Tanakh. Okay, so I'm going to open something. Here we go. I've opened randomly. And I'm going to click on the sidebar. And so first I have commentaries. These are all the commentaries in our library that are on Tanakh, or on this book on First Kings. And here they all are. And the ones, if they're in dark, that means that they made a comment on this verse, and it shows me how many. If it's in gray, it means that we have that commentary, but they didn't. I picked I'm on a not so popular verse. And again, it'll show you what's in English. When we're in prophets, we have fewer in English. I'm going to click on that, and then I have the commentary on the side. So first we have commentary in the resource bar. We have Targum, we have Talmud. This is any place that the Talmud mentions this verse. So we have two, one in Sanhedrin, one in Shabbat, and I can open those, and those are fully translated. We're so excited about our William Davidson Talmud, which is this Rabbi Steinsaltz Talmud. It's translated, fully translated, and it's such an amazing resource, and you have it on your computer and on your app. It's fantastic. Any midrashim, and some of those, these ones are, the Ein Yaakov is translated. So I could open that up, and I see somewhere in here, this verse. Oh, here it is. Yeah, right here. Somewhere in here it is connected. So we have all of these resources there. We also have a connection to all the sheets that use that verse. We also have a connection to web pages that use that verse. So this is really where you are going to navigate through our vast library. I hope, did that cover it, or is there still something else on the resource bar?
That was great, Rachel. Thank you. Can you go over again using bookmarks?
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to do it right here. Let's say I would like to bookmark this. Now, if you bookmark it like this, first of all, I go up here where the star is, and it shows me, you see where it says save 1 Kings 11. It shows me what I'm going to be bookmarking. So if I don't have the resource panel open, it bookmarks at the chapter level. So this is going to bookmark the whole chapter. But let's say I want it to bookmark just this. Now when my resource panel is open, and now I have the star, you can see that it says save 1 Kings 11:7. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to save that. And now I have it bookmarked, and then I'm going to go back to my library page, and I'm going to click there, and there it is right there. And believe me, I'm logged in on my phone, and if I were to open it on my app, it would also be saved there, which is great. And I can take it off by just doing that. Another thing I didn't show you, but while we're here, also it tracks my history, which is nice. And you'll now see, I might want to see, like, what have I been learning lately? Here you'll see, in the last hour, you'll see 47 seconds ago I was there, and you can see what we've done the whole time, all the different places that I have been during this webinar. So I can also have my history here. If I want to go back, maybe I did open something, I forgot to bookmark it, and now I forgot it. So I can go and look at it up in my history. Do we have
Thanks,
anything?
Rachel.
Do we have anything else?
Let's see. We had some questions about the app. Maybe
Sure.
you can just give a little bit of an overview of what might be different about how they use the app.
Sure. So as I said, one of the main differences is that you can't create source sheets on the app, but the app really is, it's the same library. You have that same huge library that we have. You can take it around with you wherever you want to go. And you can do the same thing with going from one source to the next and seeing all of the connections and taking these deep dives in. You can do all of that on your app. It's going to look, you're not going to be able to have huge amounts of tabs open because it's a little phone, but and your resource panel is not on the side, it's on the bottom. But you really can have access to the library. You can search. Yeah, you can log in on it. You can also, You also can download the library offline. We actually are going to be, in the next couple weeks, launching an update on that. I would wait a couple weeks before you download the library, but then you can have that when we go back to airplanes, or maybe we already are. But you can, when you're in airplane mode, you'd be able to access the text. But again, right now, you should hold off on that a little bit. We're going to be upgrading it, and so I'd wait for the upgrade. And we also have an FAQ about apps. So in that FAQ group that you have the link to on the source sheet, before everybody else does, you can go to the apps sheet, and that'll show you a little bit more.
Okay, and then we had another question about topics.
Yes.
How are these topics created? Who came up with these terms and these keywords? And can we search for those keywords throughout sheets or just texts? And how does that work?
Okay, so this was like a one-year project. This was a very huge thing that as I said, we're very happy about it. So our engineers used an online encyclopedia called Aspectlaria. And they, again, and I forgot that, I didn't tell you in the beginning that I'm a teacher, and I've spent most of my career in the classroom, and I'm a teacher who has always loved tech, but I'm not an engineer. So I'm not going to be able to tell you all of the technical part of what they did, but they did their thing. They used Aspectlaria. They also took from the source sheets. So if you make a source sheet, you tag your own source sheet if you want to, which we recommend. So if I make a source sheet and my source sheet was about Shavuot, I could tag it Shavuot, and maybe it was about customs of Shavuot. So maybe it was about eating dairy, and it was about having greenery, and it was about a Tikkun Leil Shavuot, and I could put all of those tags. And so the algorithm collects those things and it puts it all together. And on Shavuot, it's going to put together all of those texts. And then, so I don't know if I'm answering your question of how they did it, but that's basically the idea. And there are just so many different topics from all the different tags and all the different things in Aspectlaria. So there's thousands of them. You don't make them, but when you tag your sheet, you can make whatever tags that you want. And but if you use we also will have like some suggestions on the tags. If you use one of those, then you'll be like counted in the same group as the other ones in aggregate. So I hope that helped.
Yes, and if you have other questions about topics, you can head over to our social media channels. We have a little introduction video to topics on social media on our Facebook, our Twitter, and our Instagram. I'll also be uploading that video to our YouTube channel. So please check out information about topics happening there, or sign up for our email list to get more. We had another question. If you can show again a couple things. One, how to know if a commentary has English, and then how can you open up commentaries in multiple panels?
Okay, great. So again, knowing that they're a couple things about just in general, knowing if something is in English. If you're on Tanakh, we have all in English. If you're on something else in Halakha, not everything is in English. So if you're on this page, and you'll see that some are in black and some are in gray. So if it's in black, it's fully translated. If it's in gray, it's not. That doesn't mean that there aren't parts that are, because we do have the option for anybody to be adding their own translation. So we have what we call the Sefaria community translation, but this could be hit or miss. So like, for instance, I'm going to open something up, and this actually does have a translation, but the whole book does not. So the whole book is not translated. I don't know if I can, I'm probably sorry for making you dizzy. So that's one way of knowing any text, whether it's a whether it's a commentary or a main text, it doesn't matter. If you're on this library page and you click, you'll see if we have a complete translation. But to go back to how you open, other way of knowing. So here I'm going to be opening again. So this is on the website only. We indicate if there's a full translation with EN next to it. If it doesn't have EN, again, you might find something here and there that's translated, but we do not have a full translation. So we have a full, just so you know, we have a full Tanakh, a full Bible translated, a full Talmud translated, full Mishnah translated, and we are working on new things. I think we have a full Rashi on Torah translated. So we are always working on getting more translations. How do you open commentaries? What was the other question, Chava? Sorry.
Bringing the commentaries into multiple panels so you can learn them side by side.
Okay, so you just click on it. And then when I click on it again, I have it in full. And so if I wanted to, I could, here's like on here, we have Genesis 17:12, and here's what Rashi has to say on 17:12. He has 2 comments. And then I could scroll down. Here's verse 13. Whoops, didn't mean to do that, sorry. Here's verse 13, and then here's his 13. So I could go like this. There's 13, there's 14. So I can be scrolling like that. And I can always open, anytime I click, it's going to always open to the right. So if I wanted to, but I don't really need to open another commentary here. Although if I wanted it side by side, let's say I want Ibn Ezra now. This isn't in English, but I could put that next to it, and I could. But if I don't want to have it next to it, I could also do it where I had both of the. I had the tabs open. I also can. This is also really handy. Everything that I open on this verse is going to stay right here, and I can just click between them.
Great. Thank you so much for that review, Rachel.
Okay. And really, I just really want to, as this is the teacher in me, I just have to reiterate that, I clicked here, I clicked there, and I know if I were watching this, I'd say, oh yeah, I got it, piece of cake. And then when I sit in front of the computer, I'm like, what did she do? So if that happens, when it happens, please don't be shy to ask. You can look at the FAQs. You can send an email to hello@sefaria.org, and we will get back to you. We try to get back to you within 24 hours. So please don't feel that there's any question that's too basic. And anybody who has any of the more technical questions, hello is the place to write it, because even if I personally don't know it, I know the people who do know it. And I will make sure that one of them I will ask them, and then I will tell you what they say. So if you have more technical questions, we really are happy to hear them. We're happy to share what we've been doing. But I'm just not the person to give a good technical explanation.
All right, and one last question to close this out about copyright, and how can people know what is copyrighted on our site, what is in the public domain?
Thank you so much for asking that question. It's an important question, and we take that so seriously. If you look at the table of contents, again, you click on the header, and here, so you see that this is talking about the English, that the Tanakh, our default is the JPS, and it tells you what this actually, wait a second, I clicked on here. Oh, computer's getting tired. Okay, I'm going to go here to versions. And so here I have the, okay, so this one actually is a CC BY. This one is the 1917, it'll tell you it's public domain right here. This one you have to, here.
And what does CC BY mean?
So that means that you have to attribute it. And we have on one of our FAQs is all about this and what they all mean. This is the Creative Commons language of how you indicate what something is. Most of our texts, we like to have them in the public domain, that you can use them in any way that you would like. Some of them you have to credit. If you're going to be using them, if you're using them in a source sheet, you don't have to do anything because it goes right along with it. It comes with all of the crediting. It's if you're going to be using it for something else. I'm sorry that right now I'm just here. Let me try another one to see if I can get you what I want to get you to. No, this is not what I want. So yeah, I mean, the original text, the original Hebrew texts are going to be in the public domain. Here, this is good. So here you can see, here are our Hebrew versions. So this one is public domain, is just digitized by us. And here you go. This is a translation by Dr. Josh Culp, and this has a CC BY. And you can look up Creative Commons, and it'll give you everything about exactly what it means. This one is a CC BY SA, and I think if I click on it, it's actually going to take me, here's what you want. This is the Creative Commons website, and it tells you exactly what it is. This is a CC BY SA, and it tells you you're free to share, to adapt, tells you what you're under the following terms, you have to give attribution. So it tells you everything. So the place to go is our table of contents for that particular work, and then just click on it and it'll explain what all of them should be labeled, what they are. Here's public domain, tells you what public domain means and what you can do with it. If you, after you've looked at everything, have a question, you can also ask us and we'll let you know.
Excellent. And with that, I think we are going to close our webinar for the day. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will be sending out this recording and the source sheet that goes along with it, as well as a short survey. Please take the time to fill out that survey. It will help us to make sure we're getting you the right kinds of webinars to help you with your learning on Sefaria.
Thank you so much, everybody. This was great, and I hope that you'll be spending a lot of time on Sefaria now and just keep asking questions and keep exploring.
Thanks, Rachel.